Hi friends! So this week we are doing activities that are inspired by every single child in our class. But for our video activities this week, we are going to do activities that are inspired by what Miss Marisa and Miss Hillary love. So one of the things that I love to do is I love to cook. So I thought today we could make one of my favorite recipes. It's super yummy. It is called Alfredo sauce and pasta. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make homemade Alfredo sauce and we're going to boil some noodles and then we'll put them together. So I need you guys to help me, all right? So we're going to start off with our ingredients. The first ingredient that we need is butter. So what I have, because it's easier for measuring, is I'm going to do a stick and a quarter of a stick or 3/4 of a stick for butter. And that's going to be the main base in our Alfredo sauce. The next super important ingredient is cream. So this is cream that you can get at the store, and we'll mix it in with our butter. Another really important ingredient for the sauce and lots of flavor is garlic. And so this is, see if we can get it open. But this is garlic, and I'll use a mincer and I'll show you guys how this works. The most important part is cheese. So I have some grated Parmesan cheese, and I also have chunks of Parmesan cheese that we're gonna use a grater, and I'll show you guys how that works as well. And then of course, we can't have Alfredo sauce without pasta. Usually people make Alfredo sauce with a special type of pasta called fettuccine, but I don't have any fettuccine, so we're gonna use spaghetti pasta. All right. But let's get started. The first thing that we need to do is we need to turn on the stove. And so I'll get that going, and then we're gonna put our butter in our pan right here. So we'll take off the paper and we'll put that in there, and then I'll grab the phone in just a minute so you guys can see it start to melt. Lots of paper on here. But we will unravel it. Beautiful, and then we have a perfect stick of butter, and we'll put it in there, and I'll flip this around to show you guys. All right, so this is our butter starting to melt. You guys can see that we have our stove on. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit because we don't wanna burn it. But our butter is starting to melt. So while that's melting, we're gonna get the garlic going. While we're making our Alfredo right here, we have the pasta boiling, or we have the water for the pasta boiling. So we just turn the water on, and there's our pasta, and it's gonna start to boil pretty soon. I'll show you guys when that happens. But let's get our garlic mincer and get some garlic in here. All right, so this is our garlic mincer. What it is we put garlic inside of here. And then we squish it down and it comes out all the holes right here. And so these are little cloves of garlic. Usually they come in wrapped paper, but they didn't have any of that. So we had to buy the garlic that already has all the paper and it says peeled garlic. But this is what it looks like. They come in little cloves. And so we will open this up, put the clove inside, and then I'll bring you guys over to show you. But you squish it, and do you see all the garlic coming out? So I'm gonna grab a knife so that we can get all the garlic in there. We're gonna do that a few times. So we'll grab another clove, put it in there, and squeeze it. Have the knife get all of that garlic out. And let's do 2 more, because that last clove was a little small. We'll put that in there. Get all the garlic off. And this is called mincing. And so when you guys use a garlic mincer, and it's kind of like cutting it into really small pieces. And there you go. And so what we'll need now is a small little spatula. This is my pink one. And we'll start to mix the butter and the garlic together. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. All right, so you guys see some pieces of our garlic as our butter starts to melt. And we'll get that going, and we gotta take it slow because we don't want to burn our butter. All right, but it looks like the sticks are almost done melting. When that happens, I'll show you guys what the next step is. All right, we can put that there. Our water seems to be heating up a little bit. We'll keep that going. While we're waiting for our butter to finish melting, we can talk a little bit about why it's so much fun to cook homemade things from scratch. Because it's very easy to buy Alfredo in a bottle, but it's so fun to make things from scratch because you're gonna make them with your own hands and you can make it taste any way you want. So I like my Alfredo, very, very cheesy. And so I like to add a lot more cheese than maybe someone else who doesn't like as much cheese and they like their Alfredo a little more creamy. But also it's super fun to make foods on your own because you get to know where your ingredients come from. You can pick up all your ingredients so you know that your garlic is fresh and your cheese is fresh and your butter is real butter. And so that's what's super fun about cooking on your own too. So maybe at home sometime you guys can help your mommies and daddies cook. It's a lot of fun. Wallace loves to help me cook. All right, so our butter is all the way melted. You guys can see it's starting to boil a little bit, which means it's time to add the cream. So this is just melted butter and garlic. So let's do the cream. All right, so this is our cream. It's brand new, so we gotta take all the plastic off. Beautiful. And when I pour it, I want you guys to see, because it's kind of like milk, but it's a little thicker. All right, so we're gonna pour some in. And I'll flip the camera around so you guys can see. All right, so this is what it looks like when you mix it, and you gotta stir it. And you see the butter, when it starts, the butter has a hard time mixing with the cream, which is why we have it on heat. And it'll start to melt together. It's looking like we're gonna need a little bit more cream. So let's grab our cream and pour that in there. All right. And we'll just mix and mix. And so part of cooking things from scratch is you use your eyes a lot, and sometimes you use smell or you use taste. And so before we had to leave school, we did a unit all about our 5 senses. And so when you cook, you use a lot of your senses. And so I'm gonna use my eyes on this one. And it even looks like we're gonna need even more cream. So we're just gonna grab just a little more. And pour that in. Thank you so much for helping me, friends. What do you guys think? Alfredo sauce is white. Mine's looking a little silly that it's yellow. But I bet once we start adding the cheese, it'll start to look better. All right, that's looking so good. Let's check on our water. Our water's starting to steam a little bit. That means it's getting ready to boil. We're so close, friends. All right, so now that we've combined the cream and butter, our next step is to add Parmesan. And so this is my favorite type of grated Parmesan. That means that it's really fine and that it's kind of like powder, like flour, but I don't have much of it left. So we're gonna pour the entire thing in. All of the cheese. All right, but we're gonna need more cheese than that. So what we're gonna do is we are going to open up, and this is blocks of Parmesan cheese. It's the same thing except it's a block and it's not grated. So we have a cheese grater here, and we're gonna lift this up, and inside I'm gonna put my block of cheese right in there. I'm gonna close it, and if you guys watch as I turn it, cheese is gonna come out. And I'll show you guys. All right. So you see all of our Parmesan, it's starting to go through the grater. and it's making shredded Parmesan. So we'll do the whole block all the way through. All right, perfect. Nothing's coming out. That means we use the whole block. And then we're gonna start to stir it. All right, and we're gonna use the heat on the oven to help melt the cheese, which is gonna thicken up our sauce because Alfredo sauce is pretty thick. All right. Stirring and melting. If you guys want to send me videos of your favorite things to cook, that sounds amazing. All right, we are going to add more Parmesan. All right, we are out of that block as well. Let's start to thicken it up again. Beautiful. All right, and we'll add the... All right, it looks like our water is getting ready. It's starting to boil, so when you guys see the bubbles at the bottom, that means that it's getting ready to boil. And so if we watch it just for a minute, you guys can see how those bubbles are going to get bigger, and then they're going to start to rise to the top. You guys see, they're starting to get bigger and bigger, and the steam is going. And so it's about ready to boil, so we should get our pasta ready. All right, to get our pasta ready, we're gonna open it up. And so the noodles in here are as long as that box, and that's a super, super long noodle, and we're not gonna need noodles that long. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take about half the box. We're gonna take a side in each hand. We're gonna push them together and break them. And then we'll put those in our pot because now our water is boiling. Once we put everything in the pot, I'll show you guys all of our water and our noodles and how they're starting to boil. All right, so we'll grab one side in each hand and break it. And we'll put that in the pot. Perfect. All right, you guys can see that the noodles are in there. They're in their little bath. They're gonna start to soften and become the soft noodles that we eat. Perfect. All right, friends, let's check on our Alfredo sauce. So all the cheese has melted and it's starting to thicken up a little bit. And so this looks to be about a good amount of Alfredo sauce. It looks like there's a good amount of butter and garlic. There's a good amount of cream and cheese. And so I'd say our Alfredo sauce is done. So we're gonna set it aside so it can thicken just a little more. We'll turn off our heat. And we'll move this up here while we wait for our pasta to boil. Okay, it's looking like our noodles are getting close to done. They're getting pretty soft. So the next step after this is to drain the noodles. We want to get all the water off of them and get them dry so that we can put the Alfredo on top of them. All right, it's time to strain those noodles. We're at my sink because we're going to use what this is called a strainer or a colander. It's going to hold all the noodles while the water goes through all the tiny holes there. So let's grab our noodles. Big pot, very hot. Drain it. Beautiful. All right, I'll show you guys what it looks like. There's a lot of steam, but there's our pasta. And so our pasta is done. All the water is strained. Let's put this back into our bowl. Perfect. So we have our noodles and we have our Alfredo, and let's get a bowl and put them together. All right, friends, so I have our bowl. And I'm gonna use these chompers to grab some pasta. And you can grab as much of these as you'd like. And then I'm going to use this utensil called a ladle. And so it's gonna help scoop up all that Alfredo sauce. And we're gonna pour it right on top. And then we have our beautiful bowl of Alfredo and pasta sauce. Thank you so much for helping me, friends. I'll see you later. Bye.